stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with the few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Good evening, everybody. It is 8 o'clock. It is Central Standard Time, wherever you are. It's Monday night. It is May 20th, 2024. And you are tuned into the Drive-In Speaker Box. All kinds of movie stuff that we're going to bring you for the next hour-ish. I'm your host, Bo, the Boom Operator.
I'm Slick Doggy the Grip.
And today we've got a show for you. If you've been tuned in, if you follow us on Twitch, or if you're a member of the Discord, you've been joining us for the Twitch pre-show, which started about a half hour ago. We were sitting there talking about all manners of insanity. We were talking about Ray Stevenson. We were talking about all kinds of crazy things back there on that. So shout outs to everybody that was on Twitch joining us for that. If you want to follow along in the chat, be a part of the live show, you can find us over on Twitch or our YouTube or Facebook live pages. You can follow us there, but Twitch is kind of the more fun one. And you can always join us on the Discord for all that good stuff there. But we're going to be talking about movies this week. Some stuff happened. I didn't get to see a movie this week because I worked all weekend like a crazy person that decided opening up my own business would be a really good idea for my life. But you saw a movie.
I did. I went and watched If.
All right. So we're going to talk about IF, which I believe is an acronym for Imaginary Friends. We've talked about that on the show. So yeah, we're gonna do that. But the first part of the show, we got Tony over on YouTube coming in saying, "What up, yous guys?" Hey, Tony, how are you? Night Owlsley on the Twitch says that there is a video footage of her and 12 other middle school gals performing to the Ray Stevens song "The Streak." Is that on YouTube? Can we get access to that? Can we play that clip? Can we roll that clip? I would love to. But yeah, it's the first thing that we do in the show is we talk about what happened over the past week because stuff happened. It was a week, so there are our news things to talk about. Jake, did you have anything that stood out in your feeds this week that you're like, what?
Yeah, man. All sorts of things here. You know what? We were talking about horror movies here on the pre-show. I'll just keep it rolling with the horror stuff.
All right.
There is a release date set for the next Insidious movie. Because remember when they told you it was the last one?
Psych.
Nope. So they have 2 spin-offs set, but this one is a continuation in the mainline Insidious series. So Insidious 6, yet to have its title, has been confirmed for a release date of August 29th, 2025.
Because we all begged for it. That's
Yeah.
what we wanted. We needed it.
Because everyone just needs that next Insidious movie, and now it's continuing to spread out. And I forget which ones Annabelle comes from, and I forget which ones the Nun comes from, and I forget which ones that whatever preceded the Nun came from. But
And other monsters.
yeah. The horror series that continue to just be rampant and out of control is getting even more, even though they said the last one was definitely the last one because
That's what they always say until it makes a
couldn't
bunch
tell
of
the story
money.
anymore, yeah.
And then when it makes all the money, then, well, guess what?
Dude, all right, so Beelzebub Ding Dong says, yeah, I can't tell the difference between Insidious and The Conjuring and all that. Exactly. I now that you said Conjuring, I think that
Yeah, the Nun
Annabelle
and
and
Annabelle.
stuff is all from that. But isn't Conjuring part
But
of
it's the same guy.
Insidious or something?
No, it's the same guy in the main role, and they were both James Wan directed, I believe.
So the
first
same
ones,
thing.
And it's
There we go.
It's about boogity boos and possessions and demonology and jump scares and low budgets, high returns. I mean, that's the plot of all these movies.
Well, and to that point, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 also got its release date set. Universal Pictures announced that it will be coming out December 5th of next year, which is just,
Mark your calendars.
yeah, a couple weeks before SpongeBob the movie 2 or 3 or whichever, and some other movie are going to take over for Christmas. So they're trying to have it out there before the real big Christmas movies, but at that time of year where everyone's out of school. So that
Spending
people
money. Well,
can't
speaking of
wait for
spending
that.
money at the box office, did you read this? So there was an interview with Tom Rothman, who's a big Sony studio exec. He was talking about, we need to get more people back in the theaters. We gotta drive business to the theaters. You know what we gotta do? We gotta lower ticket prices. Real easy for a guy that's a studio executive at Sony who's not depending on keeping the lights on with ticket prices and concessions to tell other people that they needed to lower their prices.
Well, but the I've always been told that movie theaters get very little of a ticket price. But an article I
do.
read recently said that movie theaters have started to collect nearly half of the ticket prices.
Well, it originally was only about 20%.
I thought it was less than that. I thought it was like 8 to 12% of the ticket price went
Yeah.
to the theater, and
But I
that's why
guess-
concessions are crazy. That's why if you want the If donut hole bundle where you get 2 drinks of popcorn and some donut holes,
Did you get
is
that?
$33.
But those donut holes are really good.
They got purple sugar on them.
Have
Did
you-
you buy it?
No, I didn't buy that, but I've had the donut holes many times.
Well-
I've had the peanut butter ones. I've had the cinnamon sugar ones. I have
Jeez.
not had the strawberry drizzle ones, but they are dank when that fryer is working.
That's because you've racked up all those AMC dollars you don't use. I use mine for a drink every time I get $5 to use it. So
Oh, I actually save up all of my points for the holiday season, and I take my whole family to the movie and buy everything off the menu, and they hate me. They're like, oh, it's this. Everybody at AMC knows me, and they're like, oh, this guy's going to order all the food.
what's funny is
They'll tell me when I walk up, they go, the fryer's down.
we went yesterday, and there was this woman yelling at the fellow that scans your tickets. He's a handicapped guy, right? Like he has a physical
Yeah, he's super
disability.
nice.
He's the nicest guy. He's always super rad, super nice. And this woman was like yelling at him in front of us. Not to the point where I'm like, hey, stop.
Ma'am.
But she was like being unreasonably upset with this guy because he scanned her ticket. He goes, oh, you only have one ticket and there's 2 of you. She's like, no, that's me and that's him. And he's like, it only says 1. And the manager was like, just let him through. Who cares? And
Was
so,
it the fat blonde guy?
no, but
Because
so
he didn't give a shit.
we got up and we scanned the tickets and the guy's like, he goes, can I see your ID? And I show him my ID and he scans the tickets. He goes, on this way, like on your left, folks, or whatever. And my girlfriend was like, why was that lady yelling at him? She's such a bitch, right? And he's like, she goes, that guy's so good at his job and he's just a sweet person. He sees you every week and he still checks your ID because he's good at his job.
He's good at his job. Yeah, I know. Speaking of customer service, both of us used to work. He worked at a movie theater. I worked at a movie rental store. And
I worked at a movie and the movie.
what movie rental store did you work at?
Hastings, same as you.
Yeah, but you worked in the stock room.
I did. I was in inventory. Yeah.
But there was one time where a lady came up to me when I was working at a counter, and she was just a heinous person. It was like, can I see a manager? I need to talk to your manager. And I go, yeah, hang on, I'll go get him. And I take like 4 steps backwards, do an about face, and then come right back to her. And I go, hi, I'm Bo, I'm the manager. Is there anything I can do to help you? And she got so mad, and she just like snatched a comment card and like left. Never heard from her again because I was the manager on duty. But then like several months later, when I wasn't working at a video store anymore, I was at a Blockbuster Video. And this lady was just like putting the people through the ringer, just like absolutely being a heinous human. Just like, meh, I deserve this. Meh, I watched this whole movie and I didn't like it. I want my money back. I need all these free rentals. Blah, blah, blah. Why is there black bars on the thing? Blah, blah, blah. Just just being
Remember
so
when?
heinous. And she was like yelling, and clearly the teenager behind the counter was like, ma'am, I just work here. I don't need to deal with you. And I tapped the lady on the shoulder and I go, excuse me, ma'am, why are you being so awful? And she goes, what? And I go, yeah, he doesn't deserve whatever treatment you're giving him. He's just doing his job. What happened to you to make you this angry? And she goes, who are you? And I go, I'm just waiting for your ass to finish checking out, but you're making me wait longer because you can't be satisfied. And I was like, what you need to do is just pay your late fees, check in the movie, get your new movie, and get out of my way and be nice. And she goes, ah! And then she left. And all of the staff, and I got $150 in free rentals.
Dang, that's rad.
They were just like, that's our dog right there. And yeah, it was like, and from that point forward, I will put people on blast all the time. I actually got a 1-star review from Pinpoint the other day and put them on blast, put them on my social media. I'm like, look, gave me a 1-star review because I was cutting lemons and didn't make them a drink fast enough. And they're like, the bartender was cutting lemons in front of us and didn't even make us a drink. We're never going back. And I was like, you know what? All right, I'm going to just post this on my social media. Because assholes like that need to be put on blast. Like, this isn't your world. Get out of here.
That's awesome. Well, say, you know what, though? Going back to Tom Rothman. He wants to make movie theaters, ticket prices cheaper. I mean, that's more people would probably go to the theater if it was a little bit cheaper.
If it was a little bit cheaper, yeah.
Ticket prices
they say that the biggest movie day right now of the week now is Tuesday.
Because half price. Or $4.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, movie tickets are what right now? $15 or more. If you have the fees online, it's what, $16 to $18 to book a movie in our area, and even more expensive in other places. So I mean, I think paying what you can go buy a movie at the grocery store for, or purchase something digitally, is probably an obstacle for people at the movie, especially right now. I mean, money's tight and times are tough for everybody. A-list is definitely worth it. It's $25 a month, and having another bill every month would suck. But you get to
cancel your Paramount Plus, which you never use anyway, and get A-list.
Or Disney Plus or something like that.
Cancel one of your pluses.
You get 3 movies a week, and you can make all 3 of those in the same day if you want. I've done 2 movies in a day a couple of times.
That sounds like a wonderful day.
You do get to rack up points to get free concession stands, and
I've got like 200,000 points,
and it works on every format. If you have an AMC theater, you can go to.
Even if you got one of those big D's in your neighborhood, you can go see. You can see it in IMAX. You can see it if you're an AMC. If your AMC has that,
there are some movies that are not qualified, like some
those weird foreign releases,
foreign
that this
films
guy
and
likes
stuff.
to watch.
Yeah, that I like to watch aren't always included. Sometimes they are, which is great. Other times they're not. But A-list is definitely something that's been worth it for us, not just because this is something we do for you guys every week, but just for personal enjoyment of being like...
And liking movies.
I want to go watch
Everybody that I know, giving a shout out to Justin, he got A-list, and then his girlfriend got A-list, and they love it. They're like, this is our favorite thing. We go every week now.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. It's so much fun, and it doesn't cost us anything.
And it eliminates booking fees online and stuff, so some of those that make the tickets even more expensive, like me...
We are not sponsored by AMC.
No, we should be. Me and a guest get to go to a movie every weekend at least once. It cost me $11 or less for both of us to go because I'm buying a ticket without the booking
People
fee.
be out here buying quarter pounder with cheese combo meals and going, I can't afford to go to the movies. And you're spending a $12.99 on garbage McDonald's. Like, get out of here.
But continuing on with Tom Rothman.
No, let's go back to the McDonald's.
Okay.
You know, you get 4 minutes and 38 seconds of not even marginal enjoyment out of that burger and fries. You get now, 3.5 hours of entertainment by most movie standards these days for your $11. Do the math.
Yeah, 2 to 3 hours worth of stuff. Yeah, pretty good. But so Tom Rothman, while at Cannes, probably in the same interview, said that he confirmed that Cillian Murphy will be in 28 years later.
I saw that as
well. But
well.
he did say that it's going to be in a surprising way. A surprising and
a picture
and a
on
growing
a desk.
way. Yeah. He said like a growing way. Like
whatever.
Yeah, who
Maybe
knows?
he's a zombie.
Who knows what that means?
But speaking of the film festival circuit, Megalopolis getting some early reviews. Everybody talking about that movie. We've been talking about that movie for a number of years because nobody thought that Francis Ford Coppola would ever make another movie in the history of his life because he's 1 trillion years old. But it's out. People are watching it. Reviews are coming back. People saying it's good. I'm very excited to see this movie.
Yes, and the CEO of IMAX said that it will be getting a global IMAX release.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Can we see it in the Sphere, though?
Well, it's not
That's
IMAX. Yeah.
That's the question in our Discord right now is like, what movie would you choose to watch in the Sphere? So if you want to jump in our Discord, answer that question, you can get on that.
Cillian Murphy. I always forget which is the right way, Vince. I'm happy that
It's
you said
his
something.
fucking fault for putting a C in his name.
It's not. He didn't do that. No, I'm glad you said something.
Pardon my language,
I always
children.
forget if it's Killian or Cillian, and Killian is a beer, so I'm like, no, his name would be different. But since it is, he's Irish. Irish names are hard.
But isn't Killian Red also
many-
an Irish red lager
Yeah,
spelled with a K?
it's spelled with a K, but that's because it's American.
But
I
it's an
wonder-
American Irish red.
Dude, you can put so many names of Irish, like Irish names in front of people, and they'll never get them right. Like, who's gonna look
Like,
at
who
at
spells-
Saoirse and know that that's how you're supposed to say it?
Who spells, what is it? Crack? What? CRIAHKGHTK or whatever they spell it. Like Gaelic, dude. And I'm gonna, if Billy's watching, sorry, but don't get mad at me if I can't understand how 7 consonants in a row says whatever it doesn't look like.
Yeah,
Like,
Irish names are
I
tough.
speak English in this house, damn it. I speak America, and if your name has a C on it, it's Cillian, my man. If it's got a K, it's Killian. You know what I'm saying? Kill is kill. Cill. What is that even, brother?
Yeah. Well, but again, Vince, I am glad you said something. I appreciate being corrected on that because I was not sure. All right.
We love being corrected on the show, by the way.
Sometimes in that instance, I do because I was not sure. But you know what? Before we get too far away from the horror movie thing,
Velvet Sent on Twitch wants to know how we spell. How do we pronounce GIF? It's GIF.
GIF. Yeah, I don't care what the
It's
guy
not
that came
peanut
up with
butter.
it said. Yeah, GIF is stupid, and I hate that. It's GIF.
Well, because it's not
GIFed.
graphical image. It's graphical with a g, so it's GIF, dummy.
But the horror movie things, man. Halloween is going to try to expand far beyond what it ever should. It has a prequel series. The Camp Crystal Lake prequel series is going to be out on Peacock. It's going to be from A24, but it has lost its showrunner. But from a report on from IGN, Horror Inc. Is getting... They're taking Halloween and putting it everywhere. They have plans for more video games because there's been the successful video
Couldn't they
games so far.
just do what John Carpenter wanted to do at the beginning and just make it a spin-off anthology every time, like Season of the Witch? Can we just return?
Wait, not Crystal. Hold on.
What are you talking about? Halloween? Are you talking
Hold
about-
on.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Jason.
Well, then that's wrong.
I screwed it up.
You screwed
It's
it up.
Jason. They're doing the Camp Crystal Lake prequel. We were talking about so many horror movies earlier.
I was getting amped up.
Yeah. Camp Crystal Lake prequel series, but they're going to do they're doing what they're calling a multi-platform Jason universe.
Is it Jason or Jason?
Or Jason, yeah. No, they're doing a multi-platform Jason universe that includes games, different forms of media, and immersive experiences, merchandise, and more. So it's supposed to be an expanded Jason universe where everything overlaps and interacts and has different things. And it's going to be too much. It's going to be too much. Yeah. So get ready for that because you're going to have a lot of Friday the 13th in your face everywhere you turn. So,
No one redeemed bric-a-brac, and I still
did
busted the mask out.
But thanks a lot, Horror
Still did
Inc. And then I think my final little bit of horror stuff. Oh, no. I got 2 more things. Variety shared a photo from Return to Silent Hill.
Uh-oh.
Did you see it?
I did not watch it.
It's Pyramid Head. and it looks
And
pretty
do you like
cool.
Silent Hill? It seems like something you'd be kind of scared of.
I like the lore. I like the stories and like the I like what it's supposed to be. I don't like the games themselves. And the horror movies are okay. They're watchable. They're not like jump scare fest or anything. You know, the movies that have come out so far, which I'm not like a giant fan of because they stray too far from the games, but they themselves are not unenjoyable. You know, I mean, you got Sean Bean, right?
Who always dies,
He doesn't die in Silent Hill, but he
which is amazing.
yeah, but it's like either him or his wife are stuck in this like weird mirror world or something, and you don't know at the end of the movie. But yeah, they've shared a photo of Pyramid Head from the Return to Silent Hill movie, so that is a bit of excitement for horror fans, video game fans, stuff like that. And you know, some of the articles I was reading was saying like The Last of Us really showed that video game stuff can be pretty good. People have liked Fallout so far, especially people that are fans of the games. You know, and everyone's like, Halo was a giant misstep, but Fallout and Last of Us have been so good, and people are finally finding ways to make video game content good, and they found out that maybe it's just by following the fucking story in the game.
just do what was already done in the game.
The comic books and video games are storyboards laid out for you. Don't
follow
stray
them.
from them.
Speaking of comic books, though, did you see about Nicolas Cage set to reprise his Spider-Verse role in a live-action Spider-Man noir?
I have, yeah. They've been talking about that for quite a while, and it seems like every week and a half they're like, "Oh, Nicolas Cage is definitely doing it." So it makes me worry about it because every week
He was definitely going to be Superman
every
too.
week or 2 weeks they're like, Nicolas Cage is coming back to Spider-Man Noir, and it's like, yeah, you told me that the other day. So them constantly confirming it makes me worry about it. Also, there was a trailer for a horror movie, Never Let Go, with Halle Berry. Did you see this?
I did not.
It's like a woman and her 2 sons, and they're in this cabin in the woods, and it's like post-apocalypse, and she's like, yeah, the world has ended.
Oh, wait, no, I did see this.
And they have to hold the rope the whole
Yeah,
time.
the whole time.
Yeah, and so it's like, never let go of the rope. Don't let go. And when they let go, there's like these creepy forces. Yeah, these like demons or zombies or zombie demons or who knows what. I couldn't really tell what the premise of it's supposed to be other than don't let go of the rope or zombie monsters will get you.
I mean, that's kind of how horror movies, they don't need a whole lot of premise to go.
It looked a lot like a Bird Box style movie kind of a thing. So whatever, that's out there.
Jake Gyllenhaal coming back for Roadhouse sequel
Oh God, why?
on Amazon
Don't need that.
because a
Don't
lot
need
of
it.
people watched it.
It was fine.
Yeah, we
Was it a
don't need
good
another one.
remake?
No.
Was it a decent movie? Not,
Fine.
It was
fine. It doesn't need a sequel.
If they wouldn't have called it Roadhouse, it would have been okay. You'd be like,
Speaking of things that were good that we're not getting fast enough, Jack Reacher season 3 getting delayed.
damn, season 2 was so good. Both Jack Reacher seasons are good.
Yep. Well, Alan Richardson, I think, is blowing up right now.
Good.
'cause
He's
swole
needed that
up.
for so long. I mean, he's been
But 2025,
he's been a
we're
star
not getting any
since
Jack Reacher in
Blue Mountain
2024.
State. That sucks.
Yeah, 2025, man.
You know what we are getting tomorrow? The digital release of the Fall Guy already. You can get Fall Guy.
That's right. I did read about that.
Yeah.
No, go see it in the theater. Go see it in the theater. Go see it in the theater.
But digital release VOD tomorrow, you can buy the extended edition with another 20 minutes added to it.
More stunts.
Yeah, probably.
I would watch more behind the back Miami Vice boat ramps.
Yeah. So
I would do it.
that's available starting tomorrow. You can splurge and get you the extended edition already. While the movie's still in the theaters, it's been
Jake
out for
Busey.
3 weeks.
Yeah, go see it in a theater. It's
It's
a theater movie. It's a popcorn movie.
It's worth watching in the theater.
fun.
I don't feel like you have to, but it is worth
But it's
it.
fun.
It is fun.
Going to the theater is fun. If there's anything that this show has taught you in its billion years of trying to teach you things, is that going to the theater is fun. Screw your cable packages that are now that you're like, I'm cutting the cable, I'm getting streaming. Now it's cable again. We told you this. We predicted this. We've been right the whole time. And we were right the whole time about going to the movies is fun. get the donut holes, get the mozzarella sticks, get the pizza that's $11, but it's not great. But it's great when you're in the theater. Get the Dune popcorn bucket. Stick your penis in it. I don't know what you do with it, but get it. Have a good time. Not at the theater, but wait till you get home.
Talking about movies that we might not ever see in the theater, though, while doing an interview with Screen Rant for Furiosa, Chris Hemsworth said that they are still not confirmed for the Hulk Hogan movie yet. That's been in the works for years. There's even been like photos of Hemsworth as he was gearing up for Thor, getting big like Hogan. And, he said that it remains unconfirmed, but he still would like to do that movie if they can make that happen. And then talking about movies that should not be in the theater, Garfield has already been released outside of the U.S.
They want Mario numbers with this.
They are getting them. It has already made 80% of its budget back. It's made $50 million. It started at 60.
Does that not make your soul?
It has yet to open in Japan, France, the UK, and the US, and it's already made $50 million. So it's made the money that it costs for them to make it back.
How much
right now it just
Bill
has
Murray feel right now?
Advertising budget to overcome. So if it clears $100,000, which it still has the UK, Japan,
You mean $100 million?
and the US, yeah.
Okay.
We'll say $100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, $100 million. It's going to have more than enough to greenlight its sequel, and it hasn't even had its
All
domestic
animated
release
characters from now on will be played by Chris Pratt.
Yep. That's kind of the lesson we're learning here. And then you know what? Something fun, not movies, but visual entertainment and animated. May 31st, Toonami on Cartoon Network.
Toonami still exists?
Yeah, apparently. They're having a thing called Toonami Rewind, where they're showing Dragon Ball Z Kai. They're going to show Naruto.
Whoa.
And the most exciting thing here is that for the first time on network television, they're going to show an uncensored version of
Ninja Scroll.
Sailor Moon. No, Ninja Scroll would be sick. You can't show uncensored Ninja Scroll on TV.
Well, what's so censored about Sailor Moon?
Oh, they removed all the LGBTQ community.
plus.
They removed all the references to that. They say some pretty nasty things, and they took all the Japanese culture references out other than Sailor Mars being a Maiko.
Do you watch a lot of Sailor Moon?
Dude, I love Sailor Moon, bro.
There it is.
Whatever. Sailor Moon's sick. Have you ever watched Sailor Moon?
No.
It's good.
I mean, I've never had a reason to watch Sailor Moon.
Really?
I mean, is it on Crunchyroll? Is it on?
I have no idea.
How do you watch Sailor Moon?
On TV when I was a kid.
What did it come on Toonami?
Dude, it came on everything, man. Bishojo Senshi Sailor Moon, man. That's the jam, dude.
Well, which is your favorite sailor?
See, that's tough because it's tied between Jupiter and Mars. Just like everyone else.
Okay.
Nobody likes Venus. Some people like Mercury because she's like the dweeb or whatever. She's like cute and stuff. But it's always between Jupiter and Mars because Jupiter is like the super tall basketball player, kick your ass one. And Mars is like the bad attitude because she's fiery Mars. But she's like this shrine maiden.
She's the angry one?
Yeah, kind of.
Everybody likes the angry one.
I think Venus is really the angry one. Venus is like the mean girls one. And then Sailor Moon herself is just a dumb ditz that sucks.
Well, that's one of the reasons I never watched it, is like the main character looked...
Yeah, but dude, the cool thing is that there's always Tuxedo Mask. And Tuxedo Mask is the tits because he shows up and he just like throws a flower into the ground. He's like, sup. And then they're like, cool, we got it. And then they win and he disappears. That's fine. Tuxedo Mask is rad. Right now, actually, the... what's her name? Naoko, whatever the artist and the mangaka for Sailor Moon, it's her edition of the manga is being released. So it's like these thicker omnibus versions of the manga.
Those are always dope.
Yeah, it's up to volume 7 right now.
Have you seen the Berserk ones?
the big leather-bound ones.
They're so cool.
You know they sell them at Walmart now, so you can get them like $12 off the cover price.
Oh, they're so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'd put them, but they're so cool.
You should be getting them. They also have the hardback version of Fist of the North Star. I've had some friends get into Fist of the North Star because of that.
They need to show an unrated Fist of the North Star on Toonami.
That would that'd be cool. But which Fist of the North Star? Start with the original. Also, right now, Initial D Omnibus is being released, and they call it Omnibus, but it's only 2 volumes at a time.
It's a single bus.
Yeah, that's just a double bus. But anyhow, yeah, you can watch an uncensored Sailor Moon on television. It is the Viz dub, so it's going to be in English, but it's a redubbing of it. And apparently it was released on Hulu back in 2014. So Disney, ahead of everyone, was like, yeah, gay Sailor Scouts and weird stuff. But now Cartoon Network's going to get a hold of it and put it out on TV for kids to be like, mommy, why are those Sailor Scouts kissing or whatever? Or kids probably don't care anymore. They're just like, whatever.
Yeah, let's just make out.
But that's kind of it's cool that there's going to be an actual like a release of an unaltered anime.
That's cool. So I want to completely like non sequitur change here, because there was a comment over on YouTube from Tony Garrett, and he said, "Poll for the hosts," which is the two of us. Have you ever been called by your channel name in public? Should folks just let you do your shopping and talk movies later? You literally just said
it was him.
Was it
apparently,
Tony?
yeah.
Okay.
Because I was at the store. Hey, Tony. Yeah, no, that's fine, man. I have been referred to by Slick Doggy or Grip multiple times in public, and that's always a fun thing. So don't be afraid to do that. At least for me, actually,
I have been in line at places and was like discussing things with someone, and they were like, "Wait a minute." And this was a lot more often when I was on local radio.
Yes.
And they were like, "Hey, you're the guy that like talks about movies, right? I recognize your voice." And I was like, "Yeah, it's me." And they're like, "Oh yeah, funny stuff." But yeah, it happens.
Back when we were on the radio, I did have people go, "Dude, you're on the radio. You're on this show." And I'm like, "Yes,
I recognize this."
Yeah, that's me. But now that we're visual, yeah, actually, you know what? Being recognized in public, if someone is, I'm not that tall. I'm pretty tall. So I've been told. When I get recognized in public, if someone says my real name, I generally don't respond to it because
he hates humans.
I'm not,
as a general rule.
I'm not much of a social person, but in the past, when someone has called out my real name, every time I've turned in response, I've been greeted with some sort of physical violence, and that's not my favorite thing in the world.
Hey, Jake, and you get punched right in the beak.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you should be thinking about your life choices.
Minding my business.
Usually when someone says, "Hey, Bo," I turn around and they go, "Good to see you." Not like punch in the face.
Yeah. Well, so anyhow, being referred to by Slick Doggy or Grip or something like that tells me that it's someone who
watches this
and is probably an okay person, and I'm more than happy to interact with people like that. I think a good portion of our regular viewers have interacted with us in public, and even that's how we learn who some of these usernames are. Sometimes it's like, I'm this person. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. So you're definitely welcome to do that. I'm sorry I couldn't talk more. I was on my lunch break, which isn't really a lunch break. I'd run out of work for just a second to grab something quick.
Escaped sadness.
Yeah. And then I had to go right back. So.
All right. Well, okay. Well, we need to shift gears because we have things that we have to talk about in the show. He was just talking about the Garfield movie making all the money.
So much money already.
Because this weekend movies come out in theaters, and it is our duty to tell them to you. There's really only 2 movies that are coming out nationwide in theaters this week. There's a Greg Kinnear movie with Terry Chin and Natasha Mumba that's also coming out called Sight. I don't know if we're going to get that in many places.
When's the last time Greg Kinnear did a movie?
I know, right? But it's coming out. I'm just to let you know, so you know that we know and that we're relevant and putting our finger on the pulse. The 2 movies that anybody's going to actually give a shit about, though, the Garfield movie, which we just talked about, Chris Pratt, Samuel L. Jackson, Ving Rhames, Hannah Waddingham, all those people just making money, just making money with a movie that shouldn't work. But if Bill Murray to Chris Pratt, like, what's just, I don't know. It's coming out. Garfield the movie. Like, it's a new thing. They're like, oh, Garfield, the Garfield movie. It's so new and original. And this cat that these children that they were appealing to have not read a Sunday morning comic in, well, does Sunday morning comics even exist? Do kids even know how to read? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of factors at play. But it's coming out and everyone, and it's relevant. But they're like, from the Mario Brothers guy comes another animated character that you might like that eats, and give it money and it'll fart maybe and you'll think it's funny, just like Kung Fu Panda 4, but this time it's a cat.
Yeah. Velvet Santa says taking jobs away from actual voice actors. You know, that's a good point. I think we've talked about it quite a bit on the show before. It does suck to see that a lot of things are just celebrities being given voiceover jobs rather than voice actors. But people today will not go watch a movie based on the mayor of the movie.
Like, I've never heard of it. I don't know these things.
Who's in it? Yeah, they got to know who's in it, because no one cares about up-and-comers.
And speaking of who's in it, the other movie coming out with
Celebrity Podcast,
Chris Hemsworth and Anya Taylor-Joy, of course, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, which Mad Max is not in it at all. And it just takes place in a time where I guess Mad Max was a person that maybe lived not even at this period in time. Would Mad Max have been alive?
He's older. He's
in this.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But I hate Fury Road. I hate it. I grew up with Mad Max. The
Road Warrior.
I love The Road Warrior.
The Road Warrior.
And Beyond Thunderdome.
And then Mad Max.
Mad Max is whatever.
And then Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah.
Beyond Thunderdome is arguably one of the best. Like, Beyond Thunderdome's cool. You got Master Blaster, you got Tina Turner, you got Helicopter Guy, you got pigs getting or eating people, which, you know, turned into Snatch, which is a great movie from Guy Ritchie. You've got like you've got all that stuff. Thunderdome was an interesting one. It's like 2 men in or 1 man live. And what was the song? What was the Tina Turner song?
What is it? Crap, I can hear it in my head. And you got the blind dude with the saxophone. That's so cool. What is the song?
Is it called?
We don't need another hero.
Yeah. I'm trying to find like wait. It's like for 2 seconds. I'm gonna just like 2 seconds this. Hang on. Here we go. Because like it needs to be 2 seconded. Let me do this. I wonder if I could just do this and not do the are they scrubbing video content? I don't know.
I wouldn't do it.
That's all we got. That's all we can do. That's it. That's all we can do, guys.
Anyhow, yeah, dude. So Fury Road was not Mad Max, and now they've taken it a step further and just removed Mad Max from it. I don't know,
dude. That bungee like axe scene.
Yeah, and the whistle and hitting
so
Master
cool.
Blaster, and then you find out that he's a handicapped person and he's just a big baby man.
Another hero. It's like, we don't need another hero. So why are we making Furiosa? We don't need another hero.
Yeah. Well,
like Tina called it.
Watch it make all the dollars.
It's gonna make all the dollars. And you know, my problem with this movie is not because it's like, oh, cars and desert, and I actually really like Anya Taylor-Joy. I think she's really fun to watch. I think she's really cool. I think Chris Hemsworth is fun to watch. I think he's pretty cool. What I don't like is the fact that George Miller keeps tugging himself off to being like, from visionary director George Miller, from the visionary mind that brought you Happy Feet. Like get off your shit, dude. Like, from the visionary mind that brought you Babe, Pig in the City. From the visionary mind that's the only movies you've ever heard of that he's ever done is freaking Happy Feet and Babe and 3 Years of Longing, which I know you didn't watch, but we did. And then also Fury Road. Like, No, you cannot call yourself visionary mega director because some people liked Fury Road and you released it in black and white just to pat yourself on the back. Like, no. That pisses me off. Like, I think that's stupid. And I don't like George Miller. I think he's a wanker. And, I mean, sure, this movie will be kind of neat and everybody's going to, bus over it. But I'm not excited about it. From the visionary mind of the guy that knows how to take your money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like the Planet of the Apes thing of like, who is this movie really for even? Because you're getting the same bad guy. They're like, well, the guy from Mad Max is the same bad guy in Fury Road. And now you're like, well, here he is in the in-between. So it's like you're getting the same villain again, but with a secondary villain in Chris Hemsworth and his fake nose and all that stuff. I don't get it. I don't want to watch it.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody's looking at this movie like it's so original. It's so creative and so groundbreaking. But they're not doing anything new. They're doing something repackaged from, 40 years ago now?
Yeah, they're just taking the same movies again. Maybe, though. So the one thing that really bothered me about Fury Road, and the one thing I really wanted to like, because they're like, yo, there's these badass old ladies in the desert that ride motorcycles, and they will mess you up. And I was like, yeah. And then they hit screen, and they're dead in like 4 minutes. And you're like, what? They just murked all these old ladies.
The coolest part?
Yeah, they murked all these super rad old ladies. But you get to see them as maybe not so old ladies out in the desert on their motorcycles.
I'd rather see them as old ladies.
Maybe they'll get to be cool in this movie because they were built up to be cool and then killed immediately in Fury Road, which was the part that sucked because they're like, yeah, Mad Max sucks, Mad Max is supposed to be awesome. Mad Max was a badass in Road Warrior. He was cool in Thunderdome, and I think that's why I like Road Warrior better than Thunderdome, because Mad Max just gets his shit handed to him in Thunderdome too many times,
Is that the one where he has to wear the big head?
Yes, and they get slapped, rode into the desert, and that's how the kids find him and all that stuff. But yeah, anyhow, Furiosa looks dumb.
Mark Landry said Fury Road had real vehicles and they looked rad. New one looks all CGI and video game cutscene. Agreed. Like, and that was honestly one of the cooler parts of Fury Road is like all the vehicle scenes. Like, they were neat because that's what made Thunderdome cool and Road Warrior cool is like all these practical effects with vehicles. Like, we were going back. If you watched us in the Twitch pre-show, we were talking about movies like Days of Thunder, which is getting re-released at a drive-in here in Arkansas. And we were talking about how we don't really like racing movies or just NASCAR in general. And we're like, why don't we just have like supercar races? Well, you got a little bit of that in Fury Road and Thunderdome and Mad Max. But this just looks,
Maybe that's why things like The Fall Guy is fun, because it's like meta and it's about stunt guys, and so to make it where it's about stuntmen, they have real stuntmen doing real stunts instead of a CGI fest. So anyhow, I guess neither one of us is planning on watching movies that come out in the theater this week.
I'll watch Furiosa.
I really don't want
I'm
to.
gonna go see it.
I'm gonna see if there's a foreign film. There was no foreign films, so I did watch If this
But
week.
you did watch If, so let's talk about that. If in theaters right now. It stands for Imaginary Friends. It is directed and written by John Krasinski, who everybody is like can do no wrong, starring Ryan Reynolds, of course. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that we have run long. There's not a lot to talk about. It's like an hour and 40-minute runtime. It's like 100 and some odd minutes. But there's not much to really tell about this movie. The premise is the entirety of the movie. It doesn't really build much or expand much. There's lots of plot holes and big gaps, and things don't make sense. I get that it's a kid's movie. It's kind of like an all ages thing, though. It's a story of this girl. It shows her with her family at the beginning of the movie, a three-person family, mom, dad, girl. They do all these home videos as the girl's growing up. She loves art, and they have like every day is like a fantastic day of just perfect family stuff.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah, and then through the home.
Do they live in a big city?
They do. They live in New York,
Of course.
and through the home video, you see that her mom develops cancer and goes through chemo and all this stuff, and then of course she off screen passes away, and the movie begins then with the girl returning to New York City because her dad is in a hospital in New York City, so she's living with her grandma, which is
Wait,
the
has
house.
he got cancer too?
He has an undisclosed heart issue type thing.
Okay.
He's going into surgery for something. They don't say what. But they're back in New York. It must be summertime because she's not in school. They're living at grandma's apartment. And while she's there, she starts seeing these imaginary friends and tracks them through town. And, through that unlocks memories of her childhood and it helps her to grow up and become like a person or something.
Is that the movie?
That's more explanation than what the movie gives. The whole thing is that her and Ryan Reynolds, she meets Ryan Reynolds. He's this guy,
The director of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, right?
This is Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends mixed with I can't remember what else. I mean, it's with Gumball from Cartoon Network.
Okay, gotcha.
It's just a couple of Cartoon Network shows put together. The characters are all ripped from Gumball. The premise is entirely Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends because the whole thing is that there's a retirement home for imaginary friends that have been forgotten by their kids. And so this girl and Ryan Reynolds' character, I can't even remember his name.
Cal.
Cal. They try to rehome these imaginary friends, almost like it's a foster home, and they're trying to find people to take care of them.
Huh.
But they find out that what they really need to do is find the kids that they once belonged to, so that they can have a momentary reconnection. So the movie makes it sound
So
like.
what do they pass on to imaginary friend heaven?
No, that's the whole thing. Fucking nothing happens. It's pointless, which is the problem. That's one of the biggest problems with the movie is that we need to rehome them because if they're forgotten at one point, they'll just disappear. But it's like they have been forgotten. They've been forgotten for decades. There's a teddy bear who's 90 some odd years old. He's clearly been forgotten for a very long time because there's no way that his kid's still alive. And he's still around. They're all still there. But she's like, well, we need to reconnect them with their kids. If we can make their kids see them again, then they'll be home and they'll get to survive and they'll be happy. But the whole thing is each one of them has a split-second interaction with their kid, and you only get to see 2 during the course of the movie. The other 4 or 5 are in the end credits.
What? In the credits?
Or just preceding the credits. It's at the very end of the movie. And the whole thing is, for the 2, they have to come up with some elaborate plan to make it where their kid can be like, oh, my imaginary friend. And then they have their hearts warmed. And then they're like, cool, well, we're done. And then they act like that's the end of the movie or the end of their interactions, and they just go about their business. But the whole thing was that they were supposed to reconnect, but they immediately separate. It makes no sense. They all go back to the retirement home.
That's called a plot hole.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And so much of it is just she wanders into a scenario, and they go, hey, do this thing. And then she immediately does this thing, and then Ryan Reynolds' character's like, I hate that you're doing this thing, even though he's the one that introduced her into the thing that he wants her to do. It falls on its face too many times. It's not hard to keep up with, but it doesn't do anything to make it where you want to. There's a couple of fun characters, but they get overplayed. And I think the main focus is that John Krasinski was giving his friends jobs.
Yeah.
And that really took away from the story of this girl because she's continuously overshadowed by everybody else.
Well,
truthfully,
I will say, arguably, Ryan Reynolds is kind of like a camera hog.
Yeah, but I mean, he's someone that people like, and he's fun not to be on camera. There's too much Steve Carell's character and all that, but really, the only fun part of the movie is there's an invisible character. Everyone keeps tripping on him. His name is Keith. So 3 or 4 people trip over him, and they're like, Keith. At the end of the movie, it says starring or introducing Brad Pitt as Keith because Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool Brad Pitt,
Gotcha.
the Invisible Guy. That's really the
Gotcha.
only fun part of it. It's okay. Don't look for it to make sense. I don't know if a kid would even really enjoy this movie because it doesn't do enough for the girl. She's just there to have some slight interactions with the different friends, and then like one or two kind of like big tear moments. And the rest of it is just the Friends of Krasinski show. And it wasn't
Sounds about right.
any more enjoyable or fun than what you get out of the trailer, which is too common of a theme in movies now. And I was expecting a lot more from it. Maybe that's my fault for wanting something out of the movie. We walked out of it being like, it was okay. Like, I'm not mad that I saw it, but there's nothing there to make me ever want to watch it again.
Just totally forgettable.
It's completely forgettable.
It's content.
Hijacked premise. There's nothing unique or fun or new because it's been done before. So it's there. You might find out if your kids like it or not. I don't see why they would. It's not really kid focused. They might think that the Steve Carell's big dumb Grimace, like he's the Grimace from McDonald's.
That's what he looked like to me. Yeah.
He might be fun, but there's not really much to it other than one or two kind of like whimsical moments that are downplayed just so they can get more Phoebe Waller-Bridge crammed in there. So, I mean,
Well, it's in the theaters right now. It's
It's
making
a
a lot of
movie.
money. It's
not making near the money they wanted it to.
No, it's not. But it doesn't have a whole lot of competition right now.
Definitely coming soon to a Dollar General bargain bin. This is definitely going to be a movie that I think is going to go to VOD and streaming as soon as possible and try and find its audience there where people put it on because it's a kid movie to watch. It's not really anything that is going to be worth it to go to the theater and hope that your kid's going to sit through it, because it's an hour and 40 minutes of nothing. There's not anything to grab you. There's not enough funny moments to laugh at. It's not anything that I think would keep a kid's attention. So I think it'll definitely find its home on streaming.
All right. Well, if it's in theaters right now, you can check it out. It's at the theater. We're going to give you the box office roundup because if Jake you need to take a sip of that beer, wet your whistle, because he's got to give you the top 10 movies in America, which we do every week. It's the box office totals. We're going to give you the box office report from May 17th through 19th. We're going to give you the top 10 movies in America. We usually follow the money because then you can figure out what's going to be popular, what we're going to see more of, although number 9 is kind of an odd one.
I kind of want to go through all of them on screen. I'm going to do a clump of them, like a little block.
Okay, well, where do you want to start?
Well, it's wild to see some of these movies out of the top 10. Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare at 16. Abigail at 15, which I didn't realize had already been out for 5 weeks.
Dude, I know.
Kung Fu Panda at 13. Ghostbusters at 14. It's Kung Fu Panda's finally out of the top 10, and it's 11 weeks.
I saw the TV Glow, which I was gonna try and see last night, but I didn't get a chance to.
I saw that it was out there. I didn't have the interest in seeing
I
it over.
am gonna try and see it this week.
I didn't realize it had already been out for 3 weeks.
And it's
This
only
is
in
its
400.
first
Yeah, it's only in
wider
460, 89.
It gained 450 theaters this week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. Civil War is already out of the top 10, and Unsung Hero. So I saw the TV Glow climbed from 17. The rest of them dropped.
I'm gonna try my hardest to go see I Saw the TV Glow
But-
this week.
Coming in at number 10 is Unsung Hero. 4th week out from Lionsgate. Faith Film. $1.09 million. Bringing its total up to $19 million in the U.S. I'm sure it's not being released anywhere else. Opening at number 9, a movie I have not heard about, but is immediately interesting
It's
to
an
me.
Amazon kind of documentary.
Oh, The Blue Angels.
Yeah, but the not fighter pilots, but jet pilots.
Yeah, if you've ever seen The Blue Angels fly, it is sick.
Yeah, it's an IMAX thing that Amazon did.
Okay, badass. I want to see it.
It's only in about 230 theaters right now.
I
So
want to see if. Oh, I didn't see it on our Malco listing.
I
If
don't
it's an
think-
IMAX.
Yeah, I don't
thing.
think it's ours.
Well, that sounds cool. I would recommend seeing that. That would be cool to see in the Sphere.
Oh,
as Blue
oh,
Angels
man.
flying.
Oh,
Yeah. If you're ever in Florida, Pensacola area, I think is where that is. You can see Blue Angels fly. There's a museum, the Air Museum. You can see some hanging up and out on the tarmac. It is very cool. At number 8, Godzilla Cross Kong, the new Empire, $1.7 million, bringing it up to 194.4 in the U.S., grossing another 369.3 across the globe, bringing its total to $563.6 million. Not bad for that. I think it's the best of the MonsterVerse. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
officially, yeah.
And then at number 7, Taro, continuing to drop through the
Heard
top
that
10.
was bad.
Yeah, and it's a third week out. $2 million brought in by that one, 15.4. I'm sure that's enough to cover its budget, at least for a low-budget horror movie, but who knows? I can't see Screen Gems putting too much money into anything. And then opening at number 6, Back to Black, $2.8 million brought in by that one. It's also only in about 2,000 theaters.
But the UK market, though, because she's British.
$36.5 million brought in outside of the U.S. So its worldwide totals at $39 million. I've never liked Amy Winehouse, so this not really.
I mean, she's got some good jams.
Yeah, but
She's crazy.
You've
But,
probably heard it on repeat a million times.
oh, yes.
And then at number 5, Challengers, which is already out on VOD as well, $2.9 million in its 4th week out, bringing it up to 43.4 in the U.S., another 35 million across the globe. Its total is $78.5 million. Probably big in countries where they're like, yeah, several people
Tennis.
kissing and tennis. This speaks to me. Yeah, Europe probably. And then at number 4, The Fall Guy, dropping from the number 2 spot, out on VOD tomorrow, but give it a chance in the theater if you can. I bet the extended edition is probably pretty cool, though. $8.4 million brought in by it in its 3 weeks, has garnished $63 million. Another 64.5 across the world, has 127.5, which sucks for it. I'm sure that's not really enough to cover the expenses of that movie.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun.
It is a good
It's
fun
a fun
movie.
movie. I've talked to several people about it. They've all said they're waiting to watch it at home.
Don't do that.
I know. You get your
So
chance
stupid.
tomorrow. Hopefully it
I'm
makes...
just gonna wait for it to fail, and then I'll watch it.
Yeah. And then opening at number 3, The Strangers, Chapter 1.
Which I've heard is basically just a remake.
Yeah, estimated $12 million. Every article I saw about this said that it's pretty much a disappointment to everybody and not one person liked it. So I think that 12 million was the people that went out of curiosity, and the majority of all those people will
horror.
be like, don't, at least every article I saw on it was like, turds. It's just turds on cellophane. So there you go. And then at number 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, 26 million brought in by that one in its 2nd week, bringing it up to $101.25 million in the U.S. Internationally, it's gained another 137 million.
Making that money.
So just under 240 million. So it's made $250 million in 2 weeks. Not bad for that one. And then taking the top spot, opening with $35 million, If. So
Yep.
there's that one we just talked about. It brought another 24 million across the world. So
It's making some money.
about 57 million total. It's
Dina says over on Twitch, she said they're supposed to release 2 more chapters of The Strangers later this year and wondering how that's going to go. I mean, honestly, like, if this one doesn't do well, I feel like this was a big bait and switch for people. They're like, oh, we're going to get some new Strangers? No, it's just the same old stuff and spread out. This needs to be like a series on Shudder or Amazon or Netflix. It doesn't need to be in the theaters, but horror movies make money in the theaters, so who knows how much they spent making this stuff. So, yeah, that's your box office roundup. That's the top 15 movies in the U.S. and around the globe. We like to give you that information every week. And that about wraps it up for the show. For those of you on Twitch, we're going to stick around for a couple of minutes. We're going to end things here for our podcast listeners and our Facebook listeners and our YouTube listeners. But one of our Twitch viewers sent us a gift that is in a package here that he wants us to open live on the show. So we're going to stick around and do that. But that's Twitch content. So you gotta subscribe and like over there, or wherever it is you like it. If you just wanted to listen to this audio, then we're done, and you're done. You don't have to listen to this open presence. Like, it's fine. But if you want to be a part of the fun, you can stick around over on Twitch. So with that said, Jake, you got any other things you wanna mention?
No, I don't. I think that's it. I was going to just find the Daniel Bryan yes fingers.
All right.
To respond to.
Throwing up the yes. We got the Discord link up there if you want to jump into the Discord. We do fun stuff over there, a lot of fun conversations. And stick around if you want to see what we are opening up on Twitch. And we'll catch you next week.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.